I'm back. It's a Wednesday edition of the Bullpen with Adam the Bull. I was supposed to be off this week, but obviously some of you already know. For those who don't, I'll tell you what happened. It's been a crazy few days for me, but I'm feeling better. I'll be on the air the next couple of days. I'll be doing podcasts the rest of the week, and a lot to get to today. Obviously, since I last did the podcast, the Deshaun Watson decision has been made. Will there be an NFL appeal? We should find out either today, Wednesday, or tomorrow. We shall see. By the time you hear this podcast, maybe we've already heard the whether or not the NFL is going to appeal. But as of this recording at 8:36 on Wednesday morning, there has been no appeal yet by the NFL. Plus, yesterday was the trade deadline in Major League Baseball, and the Guardians sat on their hands. And as I said, I'll tell you what happened to me, how my last few days have gone. We'll get into all of that and more coming up in today's edition of The Bullpen with Adam the Bull.
Podcast is not for the faint of heart.
And I do think it's time for the Browns to move on.
It's not for those who ride the fence.
He's proven nothing.
But if you're looking for someone who tells it like it is about Cleveland sports,
everybody does fandom their way.
You've come to the right place.
I don't think he's any good.
It's time for the Bullpen with Adam the Bull.
All right, I'm back. And so many of you know, if you've known me for a while, if you follow me on Twitter or whatever, and of course, if you want to follow me on Twitter, bam, there you go, at Adam the Bull on Twitter. You may know what happened already, but so this past Saturday, I was supposed to leave on a trip for Seattle. My family and I were going to go to Seattle. We had everything set up. We have a couple of good friends that are staying in our house to watch our crazy dog. And we were supposed to fly to Seattle on Saturday evening. And then we were going to be in Seattle originally till tomorrow, Thursday. And then on Thursday night, we were going to Chicago. And then we were going to be in Chicago from tomorrow night until early Sunday morning, and then fly back home to Cleveland on Sunday. Well, instead of getting on a plane Saturday, I ended up in the emergency room. As you can tell, haven't shaved in a few days. I will shave before the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show this morning because I'm going back on, going on there, and I'll tell you more about that in a minute. But so Saturday, I was just not feeling well in the morning. My stomach was bothering me, and I just thought it was like, typical stomach stuff, if you know what I mean. Cramps, whatever. But as the morning was going on, I realized this was not typical. That my right side, right here, was just the pain was getting worse and worse, and it was not being relieved. And so I reached out to my doctor. I said, here's, and then I started, and then on top of that, the pain was getting so bad that I started throwing up. I'm sure some of you don't want to hear this, but I'll try to get through that part quickly. Anyway, I felt so bad. She's like, I'm a little worried about a couple of things. I think it might be a kidney stone, but it could also be this. So go to the emergency room. So we decided which one to go to. We went to the one in Westlake at on Crocker Road. Why can't I think of the name of the facility? It's a UH facility. And they were great. It wasn't very crowded there. They got me in really quick. And the pain was just getting worse and worse. And they took a CAT scan, I believe. And I at this point, I was so out of it from so much pain. They couldn't relieve the pain. They couldn't give me anything until they knew what was going on. And they got the results of the CAT scan pretty quick and found out that I had a kidney stone stuck in my, I can't even think what it's called, Deroiter or something like that. I don't know. What the hell do I know? I'm not a doctor, but it's the tube that goes from your kidney to your bladder. And that was what's causing all the pain. So they gave me a bunch of medications, including a bunch of painkillers. Now, I was pretty doped up from like Saturday to Monday. I took a couple of Oxy and, whatever. But which won't be in my house, by the way, as I'm taking them with me when I go on my trip. But anyway, so I'm taking all these heavy drugs, and yesterday, fortunately, the stone passed It looked really small to me, but I actually tweeted a picture of the stone, and some people were saying it was pretty big. I don't know. It actually didn't hurt coming out, really, but the pain's gone, and I was like, okay, I want to, I don't want to miss a ton of time for work. Normally, I love my job. I'm having so much fun doing the podcast. I'm having so much fun doing the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. But I really need this vacation. My family and I, listen, we're very, very lucky. It's a first world problem that we couldn't go on a vacation. I get that. Some people can't afford to go on a vacation. I'm lucky that I have the resources to be able to go on a nice vacation. I'm very appreciative of that. I'm very aware of the fact that not everybody can do it. But I felt like everything my family's been through, with what my wife's been through, what we've all been through with COVID, and just some other things, that we really needed this vacation, especially because the Seattle part of vacation is visiting some very close friends of ours that lived in Cleveland for a long time and moved a few years ago. And they had a baby 3 years ago. We were going to go visit them when the baby was first born. They're like family to us. Shout out to Mel and Heather and Joey, little Joey. And we wanted to see the baby when she was very young, and I think we had to cancel that trip because I had a medical issue then. And so having to cancel the trip again was very devastating to our family. We really wanted to go out there. When I was starting to feel better on Tuesday, I was like, maybe we'll just do the Chicago part of the trip. But yesterday I decided, once I passed the stone, I was like, I'm putting this whole trip back together. So I spent all day yesterday calling airlines, calling hotels, calling car rental places, restaurants, all different kind of things. And I flipped Mike and of course, Mike Lucas, our producer, and Steve Becker, our executive producer, who were awesome and very helpful, because I didn't want to now miss all of next week and all of this week. So we rearranged my schedule. I'm missing a total of 7 days over 2 weeks instead of 5. So it's a little more time off, but I just thought it was necessary. So that's why I'm back on the podcast today. I'm going to do a podcast today, tomorrow, and Friday. I will be on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show today and tomorrow, and then I won't be back on again until next Friday. But and then I'll be on for a while without any time off, because but I needed it. So we put the vacation back on. So now we're going to Chicago. I was able to I had to reach out to my friends that are house sitting for us, so they're back in. So that's great. So we're going to Chicago now on Thursday. As we originally were leaving Chicago Saturday instead of Sunday, and we're going to get to Seattle Saturday night like we were going to last week, and then we're leaving on Thursday and coming back. So we were able to put our vacation. So knock on wood, about 36 hours or 34 hours before we're supposed to leave for Chicago on our trip now, we're all okay. I have this fear we're going to get COVID. Somebody's going to break a leg. I don't know what's going to happen. We seem so snake bit in terms of getting to Seattle. But that's my story. Sorry if you weren't that interested and it was that long, because I do have a lot to get to. I'm going to take a quick break. When I come back, I got to get to the Deshaun Watson thing. Obviously, there's a lot to talk about there. Right now, I'm killing time because I realize I didn't bring up my break list. So that's why I'll be honest. Take you inside. I'm killing a moment of time here until I figure out what commercial break I got to do. And now I got it. So let me talk to you about Built Bar. If you haven't tried Built Bar Puffs yet, you are depriving yourself of one of life's greatest joys. And guess what? There's a new flavor. Indulgent cookie dough. Covered in chocolate. That's right, Built's done it again. Cookie dough chunk puffs. Light and chewy texture. Real cookie dough chunks. And of course, covered in 100% real chocolate. Run to Built.com to snag a box for you and your family. It'll be the perfect treat, or you can find a really good hiding place and just keep them for yourself. You are going to love them. The all-new cookie dough chunk puff, 100% real chocolate. Go to Built.com. That's BUILT.com. Use the promo code LOCKED15, LOCKED15, and get 15% off your order. That's Built.com, promo code LOCKED15. Okay, so now I want to get into this Deshaun Watson. And this is a really tough conversation. And I think, like much in our life, people have chosen their sides and are unwilling to listen to any truth or probable truth that doesn't fit their narrative. and I don't want to be that guy. When I looked at the full report, and I read the entire report from Judge Sue Robinson, it is clear that Deshaun Watson is not an innocent bystander in this situation. It is also clear that, and she says this in the report, that the terms that are used for his punishment in terms of sexual assault and whether the women are feeling threatened or are they feeling in danger, these are based on, and she says it, definitions by the NFL, not by the law of the state they were in, but based on the NFL's definitions. It's also clear that the NFL wants to create and has created their own punishments without it being clear in the rules what they are. And as I said, they've been based on public reaction and emotion and not on fact. So what's the truth? Well, the truth appears to be that Deshaun Watson crossed the line. He clearly did things that were inappropriate. Now, does it appear he forced anyone to touch him in a sexual manner? No, it doesn't appear that. Does it appear that he made sexual overtones that in some cases were unwarranted? Yes, it appears he did. The way he set up these massages, everything about the way he set up these massages is wrong, is inappropriate, for lack of a better term. So, in the end, my sense was Judge Robinson thinks the penalty could have been harsher, that his behavior was inappropriate, but based on the rules at the time, based on the definitions by the NFL, and based on case history in the NFL of suspensions, that this is an appropriate punishment. So while I'm not comfortable with Deshaun Watson personally, he's done things that are not nice, that have clearly crossed the line, and he clearly deserves to be suspended. Has what he has done? Yeah. Should have him permanently banned from the league? No, I don't think so. Should he have been suspended for a year? After reading the report, I think maybe a case could have been made for it, and I've all along felt no. But part of the reason I felt no all along is because of case history and precedent in the NFL. And I just thought with what he did, again, it is nonviolent. I think that's an important thing here. He didn't physically force anyone. He didn't hit anyone. And that's why ultimately the suspension is what it is. I think had he been physical, this is a whole different ballgame. Now, I think it's reasonable, based on this report, to believe that these women felt pressure to go beyond their comfort points based on who he was. But based on his behavior, which was inappropriate at times, and the pressure. Now, did he purposely try to use that pressure to make them do things they didn't want to do? That's not clear in the report. I don't know that I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. What I am sure about is Deshaun Watson deserved to be suspended. In my mind, there are levels, though. I don't think what he's done is egregious as some of the things that others have done. And that doesn't excuse his behavior. His behavior was inappropriate. That's one part of this situation. It's a big part. I do think the suspension was appropriate. I was convinced the NFL would not appeal. After reading the full report, I could see where they might. Because I feel like she did leave it open to, hey, like, I feel like she was saying, I would have given him a longer suspension, but there's no precedence for it. And I think that's an important part of this. The other part of this is how we all react. What I've seen a lot on Twitter, two things that have really bothered me. I talked about we pick our camps and we stay in them and we don't listen. The one camp that's defended Watson, and I've been in that camp, but I'm not one of the people that are doing this. Deshaun Watson is not innocent, and nobody that's been arguing for Deshaun Watson to have a smaller suspension should be arguing that he's innocent or that this is some grand conspiracy to railroad him. It's clear that's not the case. I mean, it's just not the case. Right? Everybody, and that's clear. Deshaun Watson has also shown no remorse. She brought that up in the, and it was embarrassing, frankly, that Jimmy Haslam said that he showed remorse. Because maybe he did privately, but that's useless. And maybe public remorse would have been phony, but it appears he's shown no remorse. He has said publicly he's done nothing wrong. He has. He has done something wrong. That's clear. Now, he hasn't admitted to it, and we don't know it with 100% certainty, but there's a lot of things we don't know with 100% certainty, but this was looked at so thoroughly that it's impossible for me to believe he did nothing wrong. Nothing. That doesn't mean he should be in jail. I don't think he should. That doesn't mean he should be suspended for life. I still don't think he should. I could see why someone would argue for a longer suspension. If he had been suspended, if she had given him a longer suspension, based on what she wrote in this report, I would not have had a problem with it. And I initially would have, or thought I would have. But after reading the report, I would not have. I also understand why she gave him 6 games. I think that's reasonable. People making a thing about the fine. I mean, I don't know that him having to spend money on this any more than he already will is going to make a difference. It's disappointing now that Deshaun Watson has shown no remorse publicly. I got to say, that does bother me. But in the end, the other part of this, the football part of it, is as a fan, as a football fan, for years, I always railed against signing players like this. I didn't like when the Browns added Kareem Hunt. I was angry about it. I didn't like when the Bengals drafted Joe Mixon. On and on and on. The Urban Meyer situation. And in the last couple of years, it's not that I've changed my opinion about this type of behavior. It's not like I'm okay with what Deshaun Watson did or what anybody else in any other walk of life has done. But I came to the realization that players are being held to this higher standard than other people in other walks of life in more important positions. That's one thing. Another thing is we as fans are being, and I've done this, like I've gotten on Steeler fans for little Benny, and I was wrong for that. And because I realized that it's unfair to put burden on Browns fans for Deshaun Watson or Kareem Hunt, Steelers fans for little Benny, Bengals fans for Joe Mixon, and on and on and on. Because we all make choices, right? I may not go to a certain restaurant because I don't like their politics or whatever, for whatever reason. but I'm buying sneakers from a place that may or may not use child labor. I'm not even sure, right? There's always a busy. Where do you draw the line personally? If you're going to stop watching the Browns because of Deshaun Watson, that's fine. That's your choice. I'm not going to say you're a dummy for it. But where were you with Kareem Hunt? Where were you when they hired Mike Prefer, a known homophobe who said terrible things about gay people? I understand there's different levels, but I could argue that what Kareem Hunt did is worse than Deshaun Watson. He kicked somebody. He could have killed somebody. So that's what you have to decide ultimately. Am I as a fan, because there's probably at least one bad guy, if not more, on every team you root for in every sport, plus every business you deal with, you buy from. That's the case. And so I just decided that, yes, I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to say, yeah, now that I have more information on Deshaun Watson that I didn't have. Yeah, I don't think Deshaun Watson's a great dude, but he's an excellent football player. And I, as a fan, I feel like I got to separate the two. I cannot like Deshaun Watson and what he's done and still be excited about what he's going to do on the football field. I think where we get into a problem is when we try to talk about conspiracy theories or he's completely innocent. For all of us who are saying, hey, we got to trust Judge Robinson. When the decision first came out to suspend him for 6 games, a lot of us who were defending Watson, myself included, said, we trusted, and I on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show said, hey, whatever her decision, I'm going to be cool with it. She knows more than anybody else at this point. And when I saw the ruling of 6 games, I'm like, okay, here we go. My first reaction was, okay, she didn't think what he did was that bad. And that's not really the case. She did think what he did was bad. She just she thinks there's no precedent in the league to give him a longer suspension. In fact, part of her ruling was he can't see outside therapists or can't get involved with the police again. He is no innocent bystander, and to argue he is wrong. It's just like anything else. When somebody we like kind of gets away with something, we want to make ourselves feel better, and so we defend what they did. And I think it's okay to say, yeah, Deshaun Watson, I don't really love the guy, but he's a hell of a football player, and, I'm glad he's going to play for us. That for some people, they can't do that, and I understand, and I don't blame people. I feel like I was one of those people. And then I thought about, well, was I supposed to stop? I couldn't stop rooting for the Bengals when they got Joe Mixon. I didn't like them drafting Joe Mixon. I'm on record with that. Same thing when the Cubs traded for Aroldis Chapman. I didn't like it, but I've been rooting for a team my whole life. It's not my responsibility to make sure everybody on the team is a model citizen. And there are a lot of good guys on the Browns and the Guardians and the Cavs. Most of them are. But some are not. And that's just going to be the way it is. And if you disagree with my way to handle this, okay, I'm willing to have the debate with you. I did find it disappointing that the people who were kind of on my side with this Watson were still, you can't argue. Like at first, people on my side were arguing, well, this is what Sue Robinson thought was fair 6. You take it, you people that thought for the whole year, but then you read her report and see she didn't think he was innocent. You can't now argue that he's innocent. On the other side, I do think it's unfair for the people that have no patience for this and don't want to and think that I get it, but I think it's unfair to condemn every Browns fan for still being happy he's on the team. It's just it puts fans in a tough spot, and fans shouldn't have to feel guilty. That's just how I see it. You want to beat up the team, you want to beat up the player, I think that's fair game. To beat up the fans, again, now if they're trying to defend everything he did and call him innocent, I get it. Deshaun Watson's not innocent. Neither are a lot of other people. All right, quick break, and then I got a few minutes on the Guardians. Honestly, they're not worth talking about more than a few minutes at the moment because they no-showed the trade deadline, which was really disappointing. First, betonline.net is the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your betting needs. Find all your favorite sports and events at the #1 online source for odds, lines, and games. Find reviews and news of every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all your sports wagering, live in-game betting, which is amazing, scores and podcasts. They've got you covered. Head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to learn more about the action happening today. BetOnline, where the game starts. Well, the trade deadline has come and gone in Major League Baseball. And the last 2-3 days, the Yankees have gotten significantly better. The Astros have gotten significantly better. The Twins have gotten significantly better. Probably not as much as the Yankees and Astros, but significantly. And the Guardians, who are right there in the standings with the Twins in a bad division, sat on their hands. Made 1-0 minor league type of trade. But I shouldn't even count it as a trade. Really, it was a nothing move. So this Guardians team, which has overachieved and is highly flawed, but talented, will probably end up falling short of the playoffs. Now, maybe they won't. Or maybe they would have anyway. Here's the problem. We have been conditioned as fans to accept when our team doesn't do what it can to try to win. I think a lot of fans yesterday when I said Guardians did nothing, there were some fans angry. And there were some fans who were like, well, what were they supposed to go all in against the Twins and against the Yankees and Astros? How about in between? If you're trying to win, you can make trades that improve your team now without destroying your future. The Guardians are loaded with young, major league ready or almost major league ready talent. They could have traded away some of it to get better. And they didn't have to make a trade that only, like I was saying, Wilson Contreras. If they don't want to trade for Wilson Contreras, because he only helps them for 1 year, fine. According to Zach Meisel, they were trying to get Tom Murphy from Oakland. They couldn't work it out. You got to find a way. And that doesn't mean I'm diminishing. I love this front office. I know Chris Antonetti. I know Mike Chernoff. I've met them personally. They're good people. They're excellent at their job. I'm not disparaging them at their job. They get it right most of the time. My beef is with ownership that doesn't spend enough and doesn't give them the flexibility to do more than they can, considering where the payroll is. And now, again, it was higher, 15, 16, 17, but overall, considering where it's been in this regime over the past decade or so, the Guardians have done more with less outside of Tampa Bay than any other team. All kudos, all deserved. Love the front office. Love the manager. I can't say enough good things. But I hate sitting on our hands and not trying to get better. You never know when it's going to be your year. The reality is everybody was sad that the Indians lost the World Series in 2016. Understandably so. They were up 3-1 in the World Series. But the reality is their roster was not necessarily a World Series roster during the postseason. Because Jose Ramirez was not the player he was. I mean, he's still good, but not the player he was now. Obviously, they had Lindor. Andrew Miller was certainly lights out. But outside of Miller and Allen, there were issues in the bullpen. The rotation besides Kluber was a disaster in that postseason. You remember the injuries. And yet they got by everybody and almost beat a Cubs team that was healthy and much more talented at the time. You always take a chance when you have a chance. The division's winnable. And to stand on the sidelines and do nothing? Yeah, I think some people think, well, what'd you want them to do? Trade their whole farm? No, I didn't want to trade the whole farm system. How about trade some of the farm system? How about going for it and not relying only on young players? It's really hard to win that way. In baseball, if you make the playoffs, you got a shot. I know the Astros and Yankees are better. I know there was nothing the Guardians could do that would make them as good as those teams. But they weren't as good as some of the teams they beat in the playoffs in 2016. You don't have to be the best team. You have to get hot in a series. And if they could have got another pitcher and a bat or two, they would have been much more competitive. They would have closed the gap enough that it would give them a reasonable chance in the playoffs. Now we'll never know. It's unfortunate. More on this later in the week. All right, again, make sure you follow me on Twitter at Adam the Bull. You can always hire me to do a Cameo video. Check out my Cameo profile. Also, check out my website, adamthebull.com, for ways to hire me for weddings and other occasions. Make sure you watch me, including today. I'm back Wednesday on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, weekdays 11 to 1 on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is where you can also find the podcast, The Bullpen with Adam the Bull. Until then, I'll see you tomorrow. Where else but right here in the bullpen. See ya.